So guys, welcome to a new video. Now this time I'm showing a little bit of gameplay of the 2018 season one. Now it's a little bit early compared to when it usually comes out, which is around about March time. The 2016 one came out, and obviously this year's season one came out. So the first thing you're gonna see is the McLaren Renault. I guess technically you can call it. Obviously all of these liveries are all placeholders, which for people to know what that means, it means it's there until the real ones are out, and then they'll be updated to the real ones. So for the time being, some teams have stayed the same, like Force India and Renault have basically stayed the same. I haven't even touched the Force India, just because that's not going to change. I really doubt that's going to change at all. Renault, I doubt that's going to change either. And I haven't done the Mercedes yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Mercedes. I might just leave it because they don't really change much every season, and obviously the straps on the cars is for their EQ power and stuff like that. But anyway, so right now you're looking at the McLaren Renault, and I have to say this is probably my favourite livery out of all, I guess you could say, 7 cars that I've had there done. Obviously not doing Mercedes, Williams, Force India, Renault, blah blah blah, but it just looks nice. It's very similar to the 2015 one that they had, where the car was awful, but it just looks so good. And again, it just looks nice. Obviously with the mat as well, Johnny Walker logo and stuff like that. And in the video you might see, well, you will see glimpses of the Toro Rosso and the Haas. The Haas one you'll probably recognise, and the Toro Rosso is another take on what they've done with this season, which is paint their livery in form of their cola. So I've gone with that concept and changed that up to their energy drink, which Red Bull are. So it's not specifically cola, but it's something that you can go pick up in Tesco's for about a couple of quid. So at this point in the stage of the game and the mod, it's the basic liveries are done. The name changes have all been done, so you might see a few different names than what you'd probably be used to if you look hard enough. Obviously most of the driver changes have been confirmed in real life now. We're just waiting on Williams, Sauber and Toro Rosso. I believe they're the only 3 teams that haven't actually confirmed. I'm looking at a piece of paper now of all 10 teams. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just Toro Rosso, Williams and Sauber who are waiting to confirm their lineup. So those 6 seats, technically speaking, are a bit up for grabs. Minus Lance Stroll, we know he's pretty sure. But there goes the Haas of Romain Grosjean. It's I tried different concepts. I tried yellow. It didn't look right. So yeah, obviously I went with what you can see on screen now. It's a bit of a flashback to 2016, but I mean, I reckon, you know, there's a good chance they could do that. Seeing as they base their colour scheme off their equipment, they might go back to previous equipment. You'll see the Toro Rosso in a little bit. We end up overtaking him at some point. Especially the rear wing's nice. Especially like the rear wing. I've changed the Red Bull slightly. I've added a little bit of Aston Martin to the low sponsors. Not too much, because obviously, you know, it's not 2021. It's not their main sponsor yet. That's still Tag Heuer. The Ferrari has had an overhaul, and I mean an overhaul. So the Ferrari is probably the most different. It's on a different chassis as well, because the Ferrari chassis is just awful. You'll be able to see a little glimpse of it right at the end of the Grand Prix, as the race when it gets out of it. That's the only time you'll be able to see it. So yeah, at this point in time, just the plain liveries are done. The language file was done, so all the drivers are in. I haven't done any of the helmets. There's a few helmets I've done, like 1 or 2. I've still got to do the numbers. I've still got to touch up the cars just a little bit here and there, just to kind of perfect it. After that, then I've got like all the little bit of nitty gritty. Like I haven't put the car performance in yet, so we're still using, in this video, I'm using the 2017 performances. So obviously McLaren's further down the back, Toro Rosso's there or thereabouts, Force India Williams up there, obviously Ferrari and Mercedes are faster. That is obviously going to change based on how I think it could be for next season. Now for the 2017 season mod, I got a fair amount right, to be fair. I got the Ferrari and Mercedes were on par, then followed by Red Bull. I think in the early stages I had Red Bull being the fastest, which obviously I ended up correcting when I had an update, because obviously from pre-season testing, before pre-season testing, it's God knows, for all we know Sauber could be fastest. After pre-season testing you can kind of get a feel, and then obviously Australia onwards is kind of when the next update, as that was very close. Stroll nearly took us out with him then. So it's a bit hit and miss until then, but you know, it's not a new engine formula, or it's not a new aerodynamic formula next season, so it'll probably be a lot easier to figure out. And then I've got to do like little things, like you see this little red strip outside of the garages, there's people's names. You might not have noticed that before. If you do, you notice now. Got to tweak that just to update it. Garages, race suits for 1 or 2 teams, because obviously if you've got Toro Rosso with a dark blue race suit and crew stuff with a bright red car, it's not really going to look right, is it? So I've got to do little things like that. Then obviously, you know, the when you select a driver, you've got to change that, all the photos like that. The numbers and the shark fins, you know, they're easy compared to most things. The thing I'm probably not looking forward to is obviously the driver photos, portraits, stuff like that. Like all the interface where you log it, you choose your driver, choose your car, you know, the background, the logo, the car itself, the 2 drivers, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing where it's a bit like, I just don't need to. And obviously I'm going to include the French Grand Prix to a degree, where I mean, we've got 2 tracks next season that aren't in the game that are racing, which is France and Germany. So we only have 1 track that we can actually do things with, if that makes sense. So we've got the Malaysian Grand Prix we can change. I can edit that to be France or Germany or whatever it ends up being. Mainly because, I mean, it's just sitting there. If people use career mode for this, which I'm sure some of you will, you know, it's just going to be sitting there. Oh, the Malaysian Grand Prix, that's not really close. So obviously if I change it up, change all the textures, the names, etc., call it the German Grand Prix, it's closer to the Hockenheim than it is to Paul Ricard. If it was Sochi on the other hand, then it'll probably be a Paul Ricard. But in terms of that, that's not too bad. But like I said, all the liveries are done. Obviously you can tell by the thumbnail that, you know, they're not doing too bad. Like, it's not all the cars all done, but some of them are. I'm absolutely exhausted, if you couldn't tell. Ironic that I stayed up this early for a when a Grand Prix isn't even on early hours of the morning. But that's more or less been it for this video. Just like a little update, a little bit of a, I guess, preview to an extent of a season where I haven't done one of these from the last 2. I just kind of worked on it, put it up, and then made it like a career mode on it. So yeah, it's not close to being, and I reckon if I actually like put my arse into it, it could probably be ready for the end of the real Formula 1 season, so in Abu Dhabi. So that's the back end of November, so probably a month's time maybe. We'll have to see. Here's your sneak peek for the Ferrari. If you want to have a little cheeky little pause and have a look at it, it's drastically different. It really, really is. But I mean, the more I look at it, the more I don't like it. But there's Pierre Gasly getting out of his red Toro Rosso, and then there's the ugly blue race suit that I really need to fix. Anyway, that's been it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. More information on this soon and more videos. Until then, guys, I'll see you later. Bye bye.